All right, so now you're looking at this map and it doesn't quite make sense. We want to start isolating different crimes into one group and doing the heat map for that certain crime together, so it doesn't look as confusing as this. So in the crime point dataset here, go to the attribute table. And let's pick one type of crime. If I'm honest with ourselves, there's really the worst crime of all time is, of course, homicide. Because that's really the one that matters the most, if we think about it. Really, at the end of the day, we want to understand where the worst possible crime is happening in St. Louis. So what we want to do is we want to take this line of information here and isolate that and do a heat map of just this line of information here. So how do we do that? First, what we need to do is we need to add a field to this list. So click Add Field. I'm going to call this one Weight. And I'll explain why in a second. Because essentially what we're going to do is, and it can just be a short integer, that's fine. So when you put a new numerical field, it automatically puts a 0 in every single column. That's fine. What I want to do is I want to take every single homicide, and I want to give that a weight of 1. Basically what that means is it's going to count the number of events that equal 1, and then everything that equals 0 basically means 0. It basically, in ArcGIS's understanding, it didn't happen. 0 means nothing. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the homicide description here. I'm just going to right-click on this and copy that so I get the exact way it's typed in the description here. Go to the Select by Attributes option in the table. And we want to select everything where the description is equal to homicide. So go to double-click on description right here. Type in equal. You want to put in the single single parenthesis or the single parenthesis on either end of this text here. If you don't put that on the other end, it doesn't work for some reason. That's just how the ArcMap reads text values. If you click apply, you see it only selected the homicide layers there, only that. So you see in 2016 there was 139 of those events. With those items selected, go to the end of the table here and right-click on the weight column, go to the field calculator, and set weight to equal 1. And this will only affect the items that are selected. Then once that's done, just clear selection by just clicking this little clear selection box in the corner, like that. So you see everything else has 0, but the homicide has 1. So we're going to use this weight column here to be the field within which we populate the density function. So go back to your density function, kernel density, bring in that crime layer there. The population field will be the weight now. It's going to count the elements in that field. Leave this all the same. I believe, what did I say the cell size was? I don't know, 300. And the search radius, I think I did some like 2,000. Maybe I'll do 5,000, I think. And by the way, all these other options here, you can just leave as is. They're not a big deal, at least for our purposes. And click OK. Oh, I forgot to set the processing extent. That's OK, doesn't matter. So what you see now is this map now isolated only those events where homicides happen. And what we can do, we can use the visualization tools in the symbology tab to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the categories tab here. I'm going to the description tab. I'm going to click on this add values button here. And we're only going to choose homicide. So click OK. And then uncheck this all other values button there. Then click OK. And then it's only visualize the homicide events in 2016. So now we're just going to do the same exact thing where we did with the previous map, where we just took this heat map here and we're going to Change it to bilinear interpolation to make it nice and smooth looking. Change the symbology to a heat map that makes sense. In my opinion, for a serious issue like this, just go for a simple gradient like that. Maybe you want to reverse this gradient, so just right-click on the list here and click on Flip Colors to reverse that gradient. Click OK. Give this homicide points maybe a smaller dot, and maybe make it you know, the dot that reads clearly on a black background like that. And then you can turn on your base map. Actually, we gotta click on this and make it no color. So now this is this, I mean, if we're talking about just like St. Louis in a nutshell, this really is the story of St. Louis in a nutshell from most outsiders' understanding. It's just that line of segregation that is essentially along the Del Mar, Forest Park, that area here, where up in North St. Louis is where most of the violence occurs. But then there's also this little area that I mentioned previously, Dutchtown, where for some reason there's a lot of crime in the area here. So this is how you start to take information in your crime data set and begin to isolate it so you can do more specific heat maps. This map is a lot more meaningful than this map, for instance.